Dear viewers, immigration rules are frequently changing, which is very important for migrant community and all of us. Why won't the world tackle the refugee crisis? Are the High Court judges under pressure by government policy? How deporting people silently? Why immigration detention center misbehaves with detainees? Is the immigration enforcement used by government lawfully? How immigrants are victim of domestic violence? What will be the UK relationship with the European Union after Brexit? Fear spreads. Protests across the world. We should know the reality. I try to collect all the latest immigration news regularly. If you like this video, please stay with us to follow my Facebook page and YouTube channel, and don't forget to like, comment, subscribe and share with your friends. Let's go to the news. UN urges UK to double number of refugees to 10,000 a year. The UK should double the number of refugees it takes in under resettlement programs, the United Nations has urged. A senior official at the UN's refugee agency said accepting around 10,000 refugees a year would be a step change for the UK. Volker Turk, Assistant Commissioner at the UN High Commission for Refugees, said there was a need for countries around the world to step up to address the crisis. The government has committed to take in 20,000 refugees by 2020 under a scheme set up to cover people fleeing the Syrian conflict, with 5,453 granted humanitarian protection under the program in the year ending March 2017, and 3,000 vulnerable children and family members. Red Cross supports thousands of refugees and asylum seekers left destitute in first half of 2017. Thousands of refugees and asylum seekers are being left destitute in the UK without the support they are entitled to from government. According to British Red Cross figures, more than 8,800 refugees and asylum seekers were destitute in the UK in the first half of 2017. Judges deliver damning verdict on long-running immigration case relating to Theresa May as Home Secretary. A gay Pakistani man will have his case reheard after Scottish judges dealt yet another blow to Prime Minister Theresa May over her hardline stance on immigration while she was Home Secretary. In a remarkable criticism of the whole immigration process in the long-running case, 3 judges allowed the gay man's appeal against the Home Office. And senior Scottish Judge Lord Malcolm wrote, "We have decided to grant the appeal. We can only hope that the long and unfortunate history is not typical of immigration proceedings in the tribunal system." The man was told by May in August 2013 that he would have to be sent home to Pakistan, despite a police charge against him in that country of homosexual activity and a newspaper report of that charge. Earlier hearings were told he faced possible life imprisonment and certain persecution. Government accused of exploiting huge numbers of asylum seekers who work for just £1 an hour. Detainees have toiled for 2.25 million hours in England's 11 immigration removal centres in less than 3 years. The government is accused of exploiting asylum seekers after it admitted a huge number are working for just £1 an hour. Detainees have toiled for 2.25 million hours in England's 11 immigration removal centres since November 2014, new estimates by the government reveal. How expensive are UK immigration applications, and is this a problem? The cost of making an immigration or nationality application has risen extremely steeply in recent years. Annual increases of 20% or 25% per year are now standard, bringing the current cost of an application for indefinite leave to remain in 2017 to £2,297. The actual cost of processing such an application is £252. so the Home Office is generating considerable income from each application. The cost of settlement is only one of the last steps in a long journey of applications, though. Daily Mail front page on airport queues causes some confusion. The Daily Mail has sparked confusion and derision after expressing outrage about airport delays within the European Union, despite repeatedly criticizing border controls for not being tight enough. The Mail's front page on Wednesday declared, "Shambles at EU airports." It's reported that British tourists are queuing for up to 4 hours due to the botched introduction of tougher EU border checks, noting that travellers from outside the Schengen zone are facing stricter vetting at the border. The newspaper's stance prompted many on social media to point out that the Mail doesn't know what it wants, given it has previously complained that the UK's borders were wide open and expressed alarm over immigration figures. Ray of hope for families kept apart by UK immigration enforcement. The thousands of families who are forced to live apart as a result of Britain's draconian visa rules now have a flicker of hope. Under current rules, only those earning over £18,600 are allowed to bring a foreign spouse into the country to live with them. This has been applied extremely strictly, with countless stories of families being torn apart by faceless Home Office bureaucrats. But now a Supreme Court amendment is going to allow couples to provide evidence of alternative considerations if they meet specific criteria. Spain police bust huge Iran UK immigration ring. Police in Spain say they have broken up a large immigration ring that smuggled Iranians as young as 5 into the UK. The gang allegedly supplied fake Spanish passports to Iranian nationals so they could fly into the UK. More than 100 people were arrested across Europe, including the suspected ringleader, who was apprehended at London's Heathrow Airport. Tier 2 visa pivotal for recruitment of 2,000 NHS doctors to meet government targets. The NHS will recruit 2,000 foreign doctors to meet UK government targets. Simon Stevens, the head of NHS England, announced that 4 times the planned number of 500 extra doctors are needed to combat skills shortages. It's understood that the NHS will look to recruit from countries such as Australia and New Zealand, with doctors needing a Tier 2 visa to live and work in Britain. The European Union will also be targeted in an attempt to attract more doctors. UK Tier 1 entrepreneur visa coveted by South Africans. In the midst of political and economic woes in their homeland, more South Africans are targeting the UK's Tier 1 entrepreneur visa in a bid to invest their way to UK citizenship. According to Sable International Managing Director, Gary Cockett, there has been a surge in demand for the visa. However, a better option for many may be the Tier 2 General visa, which allows skilled workers to work for a UK employer with a Tier 2 sponsorship license, and eventually gain legal permanent residence. EU migrants under age of 30 could be given 2-year visas to live and work in UK after Brexit. EU migrants who are under the age of 30 could be handed 2-year visas that give them the right to live and work in the UK after Brexit under plans being considered by a government-commissioned review. You might need to get to the airport 4 hours early if you're holidaying in Europe. British tourists are facing lengthy queues at European airports due to tightened border checks. Holidaymakers from the UK should expect to wait up to 4 hours at airports in Spain, Portugal, France, Italy and Belgium, where they are being forced to stand in immigration lines, according to Airlines for Europe, A4E. Total UK immigration amnesty for Grenfell Tower survivors, say volunteers. Volunteers coming to the aid of stricken Grenfell Tower survivors say that fears over their migration status continues to prevent people from coming forward to seek help. They were asked to vote on a motion urging the government to make the current, temporary 12-month UK immigration amnesty, announced earlier in July by the Home Office, a permanent amnesty. Government threatened with new court action for failing to act on harsh impact of immigration rules on children. Changes forced by Supreme Court ruling on Skype kids separated from a parent condemned as tinkering at the margins. Campaigners have threatened a fresh court challenge after accusing the government of failing to act on the Supreme Court's ruling that harsh immigration rules unfairly punish children. Support groups said new proposals would fail to end the heartbreaking long-term trauma of youngsters when one of their parents has been barred from the country. Thousands of Britons have been prevented from bringing their non-European husbands and wives to the UK, under a strict minimum income requirement. Critics have highlighted the plight of up to 15,000 children who have grown up as Skype kids, as the only way to keep in contact with one of their parents. US surgeon may be forced to quit UK because of visa nightmare. Patrick Thies, his British wife and their 3 children are living apart because of absolutely extraordinary Home Office decisions. An NHS specialist, his British wife and their 3 young children have been stranded on opposite sides of the Atlantic because Britain won't let the couple's 2 adopted children into the UK. Landing cards for non-EU travellers to be scrapped. Airports, landing cards will be scrapped under new plans to modernise the system, which has been described by officials as outdated. The process of filling in landing cards before touching down in the UK is to be scrapped for more than 16 million non-EU travellers. The plans announced by the Home Office mean that the paper-based system, described as outdated, will be replaced with a digital one. Thank you for staying with me. See you in the next video.